I'm gonna do. So, first and foremost, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? What is going on? We got YouTube over here, peace, peace, peace. And we got Instagram over here, you know what I'm saying? So, we really gonna get nice with these and start cutting them up, you know what I'm saying? But I'm really excited to teach y'all today. So, let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. Let's see what I want to do. I'm trying to get that view right. Don't matter. Okay, straight grassroots. So, happy Monday. Drop how your day has been in the chat from like 5 was like the best day and 1 being like the worst day. Okay, let's do that real quick. Let's start there. Okay. For me, I would say my day was like a 4.5. I'm not gonna hold you. It was a good day. It was a good day. I got a lot done today. And something I want to start sharing with y'all is like, the daily outline to the day. So woke up at 7, had breakfast, had to send out some documents for some credit repair that I'm doing right now. So we did that. And then had to run a few errands, train the team, work on the curriculum, work on my webinar outline. Now we're here with y'all and the day's gonna continue going. But point in case, I really want to get into it with y'all today. And first, let's just take a breath. First and foremost, let's take a breath because we bringing the energy from out there and here. I'll speak for myself. I know I am. So let me. Cool. So 2 things we're going to talk about today in particular. 1, we're going to talk about the time compass, and 2, we're going to talk about different types of communication with self, with the environment, with people around you. We're going to get into it today. So first and foremost, if you guys don't know, this is the Mindset Diplomat coming to you live and direct. So I appreciate y'all tuning in again, and being here with me on this Monday afternoon. Y'all don't have to be here, but y'all are here. So I'm excited to have you guys here with me. So with that being said, I'm going to jump into what the time compass is. And while I do that and while I break down that concept, I would love for you guys to put in the chat the different types of communication styles that you are aware of. Okay, no right or wrong answers here. So let's tap into it. So with the time compass, if y'all haven't already gotten the grasp with my book and my community, I'm gonna be breaking it down for you guys today. So let's think about a compass, right? So you've got north, right? You've got east, you've got south, and then you've got west. Okay. All right. Now, most people, what their issue is when it comes to life is, they don't have the time to do something. So, in essence, right, when you think about, I don't have the time, that means I don't have the direction, really, because that's what it is, right? Because if you know where you're going, you'll make time. Okay, you make time when you know you got to be at work at 7 a.m. You make time to get up at 5:30. Okay, I make time to get up at 5:30. All right. Again, I statement is very important. I get up, okay, at 5:30 if I know I got to be up at 7 to get to work, okay, and work on my business and hire and train my employees, okay. That means I'm up at 5:30, okay. I'm eating breakfast by 6. By 6:37, I'm already in game mode, okay. I'm already sitting in front of my desk. I'm already getting ready to go. So the point is the time is made for the direction of where we need to get to, okay. So when you think about a compass, right, it's read the same way every other language, or excuse me, every other word in the English language is read. It's from right to left. Okay. So this is the way the compass goes. Or if you remember as a kid, right, never eat soggy waffles, I think it is. I'm not gonna hold you. I used to love me some soggy waffles as a child. So, it's all about the evolution once again. And so the idea here is keeping in mind that the most important direction on this is going to be the north of this. It's going to be the north. Okay. And so when you think about it, there's four different types of time that I have broken down. And like I said, you can get them in my book, Time, Peace, What's in It for Me. When you read it from the first person, it's all about what's in it for you, actually. So I think the next edition will be probably from third person. We'll see. But point in case, we have MT1, okay? And I'm going to get into what these acronyms are after I go down, okay? So then we got MT2, then we got MT3, and then we got GT1, okay? Well, I'm going to break down these directions for you in a way that is very clear and very concise, okay? So this is going to be mandatory time. This is the time that you got to do whatever you got to do, okay? Like this is it must happen, okay? So this is mandatory time, okay? This is miscellaneous time, okay? This is going to be mystery time, okay? And then this, my favorite one on the West, is going to be growth time. Okay. Now, this is how time is broken down. If you don't remember anything today, okay, what I need you to take away the most from this is that this is where all your time goes, no matter what. I don't care what it is, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a professional, a teacher, whether you are a parent, okay, whether you got to do your nails, whether you got to do your hair, whether you got to desk scroll, okay, whether you got to build a business, okay, it's all in here. Okay, it's all in here. So I'm gonna break it down for you guys. Give me 1 second here. Okay. All right, so just make sure y'all take notes on this, okay? Time compass. This is the base model here. Okay, so what we're gonna do today is we're gonna break down. I'm gonna start from like the basics, and then I'm gonna break down for you how we allocate the basics. So I'm gonna pose a question for you, and then I want you to really give this some thought. So how many seconds are there in a minute? Okay, I'll give you a couple seconds to figure that out. Okay, and if you said 60 seconds, you're incredibly smart. So I'm proud of you for getting that far. Okay, next, and I genuinely mean that, like, you know, because most people, you'd be surprised how many people don't know that. So how many hours are in a day? Okay, all right, most people know that one, right? Now, how many months, or excuse me, how many days are in a month? Okay, obviously depends on the month, right? But so I just want to point out 2 points. You see how the first two have a defined outline, and then the second one also has a defined outline with one outlier or two, which is the days, how many days are in the month, and or actually it's one, yeah, how many days are in a month, and then February being the shortest day of the year. So with that being said, let me ask you another question. How many hours are in a week? Think about it. Right? Just give it some thought. And so I'm gonna write the number down, right? Okay. Very clearly for y'all. Okay. With that being said, right? I don't know if you guys can see that, but with that being said, I want to make sure that, let me rewrite it so you guys can see it with me. Okay. So there's 168 hours in a week. Okay. Now, everyone's, like I think I said this at the beginning, everyone has, and again, if you're just joining now, welcome. We're going to be covering two things today: time management and different styles of communication. So where we're at right now, we're on the time management piece. So let's think about this, right? Let's think about your biggest goal right now. Okay, the goal that you're like, I need to get to that. Okay, I can tell you that it's either one of three things. Okay, right off the bat, this is a story that you tell yourself, because this is a story that I told myself, okay, for years. And I figured out a system to make sure that I didn't have to tell myself that anymore. So let's talk about this. When it's like, oh, I need to lose weight, or I need to make more money, or I need to spend more time with my family. It's going to come down to these three things. I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I don't have the money. Okay? Now, I don't know about you, but the two most important things to me in life are my time and my energy. Okay? Like those are the two things that I can't make more of. I can always make more money. Okay? I can always make more money, no problem. Okay? But time is the most precious, guys. Time is the most precious. So let's really give it some thought, right? When you're like, oh, I'm going to speak for myself again. When I say, hey, I want to do this, but it's like, oh, I don't have the time. Well, is it that I don't have the time, or is it my time is not allocated correctly towards the things that I need to invest my time in? That's what it is, right? And I want to impart on everyone listening here is that the idea is to become give more attention to your intentions, okay? Because frankly, you're going to turn 50 and you're going to look back at your life, you're going to turn 60, 70, 80, whatever, and be like, wow, I didn't do the things that I wanted to do, right? And everyone's circumstance is different. I completely understand that. But at some point, we cannot blame our parents. We cannot blame our environment. At some point, we got to take accountability for our actions. We got to take accountability for our number one God-given asset, which is our time. If you ain't in jail, okay, or you're not, or someone's not, looking after you 24/7, okay, even they have oversight over your time. Think about it. If you don't, then someone else does. That's how powerful time is, right? When you have someone to watch you, when you have someone that looks over you, that's how powerful time is, okay? So I just broke down the 4 directions for you. Keep in mind, again, 168 hours in a week. Now, today, I'm going to be focusing on the south side of the time compass, okay? The south side of the time compass is actually where the most growth happens, okay? So the south side is going to be let's see here, MT2, okay? That's going to be MT3. That's going to be the south side of the compass. This is going to be mystery time. Okay? This is when I'm working with my mentees and I'm working with teams, working with teams of 15 plus. This is what people have the most time with, the mystery time. Okay? Because let's think about it, right? Let's say you work an 8-hour day. Okay? I want to think big picture. I want to break down the day for you. This is what we're going to do right now. Okay. Now, and you're going to be surprised at this, and because every time I break it down, I'm still surprised, and I'm the one that came up with this concept, or I founded the concept, if you will. Because frankly, no one made up anything, right? All the things that are here around us, they were already here. We were just able to download them. So I just want to put that out there. So with that being said, right, most people, like when we have a 24-hour day, let's think about it. We work 8 to 10 hours a day, okay? And that's with work and driving, right? Now we take that math, we're left with 14 hours, okay? Now, I want to just outline this, right? We're left with 14 hours. It looks like a 9, but yeah, we're left with 14 hours here, okay? Now, let's think about how much of that time is spent doing 3 unhealthy things, okay? The first one is procrastination, okay? The second one is selling ourselves short, okay? And then the last one is gossiping, okay? All right? So let's really think about it. How much time goes to these 3 unnecessary things, right? And this is through research of me studying, traveling, and understanding so many different cultures. And that's how I'm going to tie this into different styles of communication, right? I took some notes that I want to share with y'all today. And so there's 5 levels of communication and interaction, okay? So when you think about it, how we like our relation with time is different based on a few things, right? It can be cultural, okay? It could be economic. Okay. It can be institutional. It can be interpersonal, and it can be personal. Okay. Uh, and I want to break that down even further. So, how we communicate to ourselves around procrastination, right? Some might view some some people might view it as, oh, me, just playing this video game, I'm just doing X. Well, in moderation, right? But procrastination is over and over and over. It's the consistency of that, right? But before we get into, how the communication styles, let's think about procrastination, right? Procrastination is the biggest time eater. Out of my research that I've done, I've been able to understand and validate that the average person will procrastinate 14 hours out of the week. Let's put that into concept, guys. Let's really put that. That's 2 hours. That's 2 hours a day, minimum. Right? It's a lot of procrastination time. What if I told you you could get better from doing this? Right? And I always say the goal isn't elimination, the goal is progress, right? Because I believe that the human mind just needs to know that it can do something before it does it, right? Just because we see it, like if you think about it, I think there's a story of the first person to run like a 10-minute mile or something like that, or a minute mile, whatever the metric is. It was like broken in the 50s or the 60s, never done before. Okay. And this is why humans are just so incredible. We're so cool. The year he broke it, I think 2 other people broke it. The next year, I think 20 people went on to break it, right? And what does that say about us? That speaks to our level of having a metric, something to refer to. If we know, okay, it takes 10 minutes to run a mile and I can train. What if I get to 9 minutes and 30 seconds? What if I can get to 8 minutes and 30 seconds, right? There's a metric there. There's a psychological phenomenon when our brain builds new synapses to go and understand, wow, this person did it like this. If I do X, maybe I can achieve a little bit better. And that's what humans do, right? We build on each other, okay? We stand on artists' backs, right? The people that came before us, there's nothing original, right? But at the same time, just because that there's nothing original doesn't mean that we don't have to give attention to our intentions, okay? So procrastination, 14 hours a week, crazy, by the way. So let's just I want to bring back the math. If we do this 2 hours a day, we're left with 12 hours after we remove procrastination. Now, part of procrastination is selling ourselves short. Okay, what does that mean, Denver? Well, thank you for asking. I'll answer that for you right now. So, what that means is we want to ask for that promotion at work. Oh no, I'm not ready to do that. We want to work on our credit. Oh no, I'm not ready to make a leap on that. Okay, we want to lose weight. We want to get healthy. Oh no, I don't really want to eat that way. I don't really want to do what it takes. What I'm hearing and what that is you telling yourself that you're not good enough. Period. I don't care how you cut it, how you slice it. Okay. If you're not telling it to yourself, someone else is going to have to. Okay. Because that's what it comes down to. You selling yourself short. That is your relationship with you. When you show up and you're like, hey, I want to do X in my life. Well, you got to do the thing to become the person. Think about it. You don't just wake up and you're like, yeah, I'm this person. You got to consistently work at it. And it breaks my heart when people sell themselves short, especially when they ask for support, right? Especially when they ask for support in an area in their life, right? And you provide a metric for them to help themselves out. And they're like, I don't really want to do that. Listen, the worst that's going to happen if you stop selling yourself short, you're just going to end up back there. That's the worst that can happen. A lot of people don't realize that. I've been to some dark places in my life, y'all, where now that I'm here at this point in my life, I get to thank God every single day because I've seen some things in my life that humans should not see. I've experienced things in my life that humans should not see. And it has allowed me to know that because I was able to make it past that, the worst that can happen if I continue to strive better and want more and elevate and go to the highest level is that I'll end up right back in that place. That's the worst that can happen. I end up right back here. Okay. It's been pretty consistent and pretty lit thus far. So my point is, though, selling yourself short, the national average for this was about 1.5 hours a day. Okay. And I also want to keep in mind, if you want to learn more about this, it is inside my book, Timepiece, What's in It for Me. You guys can check that out. The link is in my bio. I'm actually going to put the link here as well. You guys can check that out. I forgot to pin the post, so bear with me. I just wanted to flow for y'all today. Just getting here, provide value as I, regularly do. And if you guys like this, we are in here every single Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. There we go. I'm going to put that in the chat for y'all. I'm going to pin it too. Appreciate you guys rocking with me. There we go. All right, pin that comment. So again, y'all, selling yourself short. Okay. Now, gossip. This is like the worst one. All right. I gotta open up the book for this one, because it's one of those topics that, people do it too much, and I watch it, right? Because something that I've learned, just coming up and being an entrepreneur for a decade now, broke people talk about people, rich people talk about things and ideas, wealthy people do hire people to work on the ideas and the things. Okay. And I think at some level, you got to know what's what. You got to be on that level to know what's what. That's just, that's kind of how you get the experience. So let me open up my book here. Thank you guys for rocking with me this afternoon. Like I said, I really appreciate y'all. Because I want to make sure that I'm bringing you guys the highest quality information. So like, while I pull this up, if you could put in the chat, what your experiences of, different types of communication are. I asked that in the beginning. Let's put that here as well. Let's see. Okay. All right. So I was actually off on the times, and it's a little bit more, it's a little bit less. So I want to do this math again for you guys. Okay. This time it's the real math. So procrastination and selling ourselves short is 1.5 hours a day. Okay. And this is from my book. I want to give you guys the proper information. And when it comes to gossip, that's 1 hour a day. Okay. And I'm going to break that down, excuse me. And then selling ourselves short, right? Procrastination and selling ourselves short, those go hand in hand. Okay. That's what I already said. That's 1.5 hours. Okay. Now there's one that I forgot, and I apologize for forgetting, because again, I've become so aware of these things that I kind of eliminate them. That's why I don't really know the time breakdown per se, because like, I don't be outside gossiping. Okay. I don't be outside selling myself short. And I don't be outside procrastinating. Now, don't get me wrong. When I see it creep in, I recognize it, I honor it. And I think that's the biggest part of this, right? Part of giving, and I'm getting chills telling you this, but part of giving attention to the intentions of life is the relationship with self, and not beating oneself down when they see shadows creep up. What are shadows? Well, shadows are things that we touch on in men's work, in shadow work, where there's a part of you that you don't like, and you might push it away. You might repress it. I speak for myself. When I see certain things like procrastination or selling myself short creep in, I stomp it out. It's like embers to an unhealthy fire. I stomp it out early. Period. I don't let it fester, because that's like a cancer. A little ember on a carpet could turn into a huge flame. Okay. And let me say this. When I say stomp it out now, it's after 7, 8 years of doing the work to understand how to integrate it. I don't just look at that shadow and that part of myself and say, hey, I don't like you, get out of here, right? Because ultimately the parts of myself that are shadows, they've kept me safe, right? And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Like the shame, the anger, the fear, the sadness, the guilt that we feel towards certain situations or that come up for us when we're triggered, they kept us safe at some point. That's why they exist and they're so familiar. I know people that are addicted to that. They're addicted to that because they feel so safe in it, especially when it comes to dealing with other people and things of that nature. So I want to get back to the time compass because the most important piece here I want to break down for you guys is the death or doom scrolling. Okay? On the cell phones. This shit is unhealthy, y'all. I don't do that. I'm saying I gotta, I'm putting it to you like this. I have a timer when I'm on social media, okay, during the day, and it's 15 minutes. Okay, that's because I know what I'm there for, and I need to have more intentionality. Because if you could tell me, hey, and I want to give you keep in mind, I want to give you the daily average, 2.2 hours. Whoo, y'all. A day. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. And all of this data is cited in my book. So if you don't believe me, you can go read it there. Wild. Okay. Wild. To think about. So I want to add this up. So remember, we were given 24 hours in a day, right? Let's say we spend 8 to 10 hours working. So that means 8 hours working. And then let's say an hour there to get there, an hour back, whatever. Okay. It came down. That leaves us 14 hours. So now I'm going to give it to y'all. Ready for the sauce? Y'all ready for the sauce? Put a fire emoji in the chat if you're ready for the sauce. I want to see some fire emojis real quick. Okay. Put a fire emoji if you're ready for the sauce. Okay. I had to take my shoes off for this one because, listen, okay. All right. I see a few. Cool. All right. So let's add this up. So we got 2.2 plus 1, that's 3.2 plus 1.5, right? That's 4.7. Okay. So we got, let's just call it 5 hours. Excuse me. 4.7, round that up to 5. Now we got 14 minus 5 hours. Okay. That leaves us 9 hours. Okay. A day. 9 hours. Okay. So imagine, and I want to show you guys really like how this works. Imagine that you could remove, and I said this in the beginning, I don't want to use the word remove or eliminate. I want to use the word progress because that's what we're after, right? Progress, practice makes progress, not perfect, okay? Because we want progress. We want to progressively get better over time, okay? So let's say here we're able to cut this down. Let's just say an hour. Okay. Let's say we can cut the gossip out 30 minutes. And let's say we can cut the procrastination down to 45 minutes. Okay. Now let's add this up. So we got 1.2, which is an hour and 20 minutes. No, so that would be an hour, 1.2 hours. And let's just say 2.5. So that's an hour 50 right there. Now we got an hour 50 plus 45 minutes. Let's say that's 2 hour 45. So that's 2.5 hours. Okay. So look at that, guys. We were able to take this 5 hours and cut it in half completely, 2.5. Okay. That means you get back 2.5 hours. You're now at 11.5 hours of your life back. So I want to ask a question again. Is it that you don't have time or you don't have attention to your intention? Which one is it? Because again, guys, at some point we got to take ownership. We got to take ownership. This is our God-given right. This is our time. What's up? Why are we out here playing with it? Why are we not out here giving it more grace and more intention? I know I am, And like I say, I don't know, it might be different for me. And maybe this is why I'm the one bringing it to the world. Like, I got a clock tattooed in the palm of my hand, you know what I'm saying? I got a compass tattooed in the other one. Okay? This is not something that I take lightly. You feel me? These are things that I am very much so aware of in my day-to-day life and how I move and how I show up. I'm not perfect, okay? I'm not here to tell you guys I'm perfect, I'm a genius, none of that. No, I'm here to share wisdom with y'all. I'm here to impart on you guys things that I've learned in my life thus far that allow me to have more freedom, that allow me to travel, okay? That allow me to sleep in what I want, okay? That allow me to get back and reclaim the most valuable thing that God has given me, which is my time, okay? So I want to talk to you guys today about the 5 levels of communication, okay? So I want to talk to you guys about cultural, right? Like the cultural levels of communication. And the notes I took on this, right? These are where we learn to let go of judgments, okay? And what does that mean? Well, a lot of the communication that we have, okay, yeah, I don't know if this has been rubbing. I hope not. Let me take this off for y'all okay. A lot of the time, the norms that we have in life are based on our parents and our culture, right? What does that mean? So, like, I'll give you an example. Like, I'm Haitian, right? And in the Haitian culture, there are 2 animals that are like primarily feared, which is like cats and snakes, okay? And when you look at every culture, there's some type of lore, whether positive, negative, or neutral about cats, right? And it's crazy to me, and not crazy, but it's beautiful when I think about it and I look back on it. It's like in the Haitian culture and in the Haitian culture, snakes and cats are like not necessarily the most liked animals. They're actually kind of feared. And when you think about the Egyptian culture, they were actually honored, right? Like cats were buried with their owners and like to be with them in the afterlife. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when you look at the whole spectrum, right? And keep in mind, most Haitians are from the same place Africa is, the continent of Africa. You know what I'm saying? Or excuse me, the same place Egypt is, the continent of Africa. Okay. So it's just a matter of the cultural differences, because if I were born in Egypt, I would have a different relationship and communication around my relationship with cats and snakes and things of that nature. Think about it, right? It was purely based off of my mom's experience, my grandparents' experience, people around me, my aunts, my uncles, things of that nature. So it says a lot. And that's why I mentioned it before, is like letting go of judgments, because a lot of the judgments that we have are not original. Okay. I could even talk about like racism. Okay. Racism is one of those things, in my judgment. It is not something that it's something that you have to learn. Okay. It's something that you see from your parents or the environment around you to think about the world in prejudice. That's my judgment. I don't care. Like, if you got a different opinion, different judgment, that's cool. We could debate it in the comments. But my judgment now, don't get me wrong. Do I think it could become epigenetic? Absolutely. Absolutely. A frame of mind can definitely become epigenetic for sure. And if you don't know what epigenetics are, it's when the DNA is encoded based on repetitive actions done over time. So if I smoke cigarettes, or if I drink alcohol, or if I think high level thoughts, or if I empower the people around me and I consistently do that over and over, my offspring are likely to do the same behavior. That's the way that works. Typically, it takes about 2 to 3 generations to see the expression of these genes, right? But it's still pretty cool. So to get back to it, it's like when you think about where Haitians come from, and I'm just using Haitians as an example, it's like, we come from Africa, Cameroon, Nigeria. Like the idea that the same people, right, from that part of the planet have two different perceptions and judgments and communication styles around an animal or idea just goes to show the power of communication. Okay. Because the power of cultural communication, it talks about like what's acceptable, right? What's acceptable, right? Because I know for me, I have tattoos in the Haitian culture. That's not a thing. You know what I'm saying? And so I personally, I don't care because I'm a free spirit, right? That's just the way I look at it. I'm a planet. I'm a human of the planet, right? I'm a human, right? Like I'm full of life. I'm full of color, and so for me, I enjoy art. I enjoy decorating my body, and so. But when I remove that piece, right? There's ancient parts in Africa where different people got different types of tattoo or body modifications and things of that nature. It represented different things. And that's what I want to impart on you. It's the cultural norms of what is acceptable and what is not. Okay. The next piece is like cultural interpretations. This touches on both of the pieces I just mentioned because I might interpret tattoos, right? Like, okay, for instance, in the Haitian culture, tattoos are they're just not people are not rocking with them, right? It's just not a thing. But here in American culture, it's like it's a norm, right? It's like in some places it even makes you cool, right? Like it's like, oh wow, look at his tattoos or look at her tattoos, whatever. And so when I go back to the cultural interpretations, one culture can view it as incredibly strong and great and have all these great things, and another can view that as completely disgusting and ugly, right? Because it's the cultural interpretations. Again, those come from cultural judgments. Okay. Now there's the cultural shadows. Oh, this is deep, y'all. This is deep. Drop a fire emoji in the chat if you're ready for something deep. It's deep right here. Okay. And I'm stretching. Gotta stay flexy, man. Gotta stay flexy. So cultural shadows. What's a cultural shadow? So before we get into cultural shadows, right? I want to ask you guys again if you remember what I mentioned the shadow was prior. And let me know if you do. Okay. Give me 1 second here. That got me going today, baby. Okay. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So, cultural shadows. So, cultural shadows really are the shadows that a culture carries. What could that be, right? I'll give you one for Black folks because I'm a Black man, right? Like, I think one of the cultural shadows that Black men or Black people have is we like nice things, and it has been at times to our detriment. Okay, whether it's nice clothes, like Black folks get fly. I'm saying, and frankly, we invent the culture. Okay, all around the world. I don't care how you slice it. Black folks invent the culture, and so what I find though to our detriment, a cultural shadow is like, especially here in the U.S., like Black folks will buy Jordans, $300-400 pair of Jordans, and be walking down the street and not have a car. It doesn't make sense, and it's a cultural shadow. It's like, well, and I'll give you some sauce, like because we have been beaten down and dehumanized and degraded for so many years and for so long, like we want to feel nice, we want to look nice, we want to show up nice. And what human, regardless what you've been through, doesn't want to show up nice? But it's like Black folks just show up and we just have a journey. We have a certain je ne sais quoi, certain like pizzazz, like we have a certain it factor. I know I do. I'm saying for real. And so I do think that's a cultural shadow. I think another cultural shadow example is white guilt, right? White guilt, for the most part, with the people I talk to in my circle, and my ethos, in my orbit, Like there is a guilt there for people being responsible for things that their people did, their nationality, their what that weren't necessarily representative of them, if you will. So that's the cultural shadow. And so again, I want to talk about these are the 5 levels of communication. Okay. The next piece I want to touch on is interpersonal. Okay. And so this is about making sure I get my needs met, right? And it's about how others get their needs met, right? This comes down to, how we show up to others, how I show up to others, because I think at this stage in my life, full transparency is so important. I'm going through a lot in my life right now. Last year was a very rough year, but 2025, I'm very hopeful. And I'm just this year and the things I've been able to do in the past 3 months have been absolutely incredible. But I'm just excited for where this year is going. Okay, but I want to just say that again, like how we show up to others is how we show up with ourselves, right? Like I know when I touch on personal, it's like, what are the things that are true? What do I tell myself and what do I want? Okay, what do I need? Knowing the difference between what you need and what you want, it's important. Remember before I was talking about procrastination and selling yourself short? Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. There are some times procrastination is necessary, for sure, because I look at procrastination, and most of y'all know I used to be a musician. I look at procrastination as a form of writer's block. Okay, like, and the output may have just been so high over time that now your brain, your spirit, the energy in your ethos is like, nah, we need to rest and recharge. So I do think, like for me, on a Sunday, I don't do nothing. Now, I want to be mindful and mention procrastination and laziness. There's a fine line. Let's not confuse the two. There is a fine line. Okay. And so when it comes down to what I want and what I need, they're different. Okay. Now, what is true for me? What is true about me? Understanding those things, what are true for me, and just diving deeper into that. Like, I know that I'm great. I know that I'm destined for greatness, right? And like Nipsey Hussle said, I'm gonna go down as a legend. Okay, period. End of story. Knowing that in my heart, in my spirit, like there are things that you need to know about yourself. Period. Hands down. Okay, because these are the things. How I show up with others, and how I show up with myself dictates how I show up with others. And I can feel the passion coming out. So let me take a breath here. 1 second. Because I want to speak to y'all with grace. Okay. Now the next piece of the next piece of communication that I want to share with y'all is the institutional. Okay. And this really comes down to the role that I'm like assigned, what is it and how am I assigned roles in life? Okay. Whenever you think about a project that you run, what are the roles that project calls for, right? And do you choose your role or do you get your role assigned to you? Which one is it? Right? I think that's very important to understand because that is how we communicate with the institutions around us. Okay. For instance, like, do I serve a higher authority, right? In that, am I there for the greater good of the team or am I there for selfish reasons and selfish gains? Okay. And is the person that put me in the position, am I allowing the position that they put me into to be the one that I strive the most to where I'm able to excel the most, or do I look at myself in that position and whimper and say, oh, I can't do it, I'm not sure, XYZ? Which one is it, right? The next one here is how we show up in groups, right? Because the last one I said is institutional, right? That's like how you show up in your church, how you show up in groups, how you show up in community, right? How you show up at work. Okay. And I want to remove groups from that because I do have notes on groups, and because those are more short-term roles, like for instance, like volunteering. I did some volunteering for the holiday. It was absolutely incredible. I loved it. and I got to give back. I remember being a child and not having much, right? And like having to go to a food bank, or having to go and to like Goodwill and things of that nature, or just like your food pantries. And so I was able to go and volunteer my time at a location like that. It was absolutely incredible. I felt so fulfilled, right? But let me keep in mind, in that group, I had to show up as a leader, to the point that even now we're in February and this location is giving me a call back saying, "Hey, Denver, we love what you were doing. Can you come and volunteer with us?" So I'm actually going to go on Wednesday and volunteer again, just because like the way that I was able to show up was as a leader. I was able to create a plan to get things done efficiently, because that's what life is about: efficiency and effectiveness. Okay. Not just meandering. All right. When you move through life, you got to move with intention, period. Every day, I want to give y'all a little gem. And this is why the time compass is so important. Every day that you wake up, you are closer to death. That is just the God's honest truth. I don't care how you take it. You need to understand that. Okay. It is the moral truth. It's the mortal truth. Excuse me. It's the mortal truth. You need to understand that. Okay. And if you're not mindful and you don't give attention to the intention of your most valuable asset in life, you're going to die regretting that you never did. No one regrets at the stuff that they did do at the end of their life. They regret the stuff they didn't do. Period. Okay. And how are you showing up? How are you showing up to communicate yourself, right? By going beyond interpersonal, right? By the roles that you take on and that you choose to play, right? Like at the end of the day, you could be a mom listening to this. You could be a brother listening to this. You could be an uncle. You could be a nephew. You could be a niece. You could be so many different roles. You could be a CEO at a company, right? How is it that you show up in these roles? Okay. Do you think that just because you say you do the best that you do, the people around you would agree? Right? Because it's not about the opinion on whether or not they would agree. It's more so, how intentional are you? How much do you listen to the people around you when they say, "Hey, I really enjoyed the way you did that. That task was great." Or, "I really enjoyed talking to you. I'd love to do this more." And how much are you listening to the ones that are, "I really didn't like the way that you did that. It didn't really sit well with me. Could you not do that again, please?" And because at the end of the day, how we show up with those people is how we show up with ourselves, y'all. Come on. I just want to import this on you guys. How we show up with ourselves is how we show up with others. Right? That's what it is. That's the God's honest truth. And so the last piece that I want to share with y'all, right, is the personal motives, right? Like when you are working with a group of people, okay, and you have motive in the group, when you have a role in the group, right? How are you sharing the motive collectively? How are you communicating about it? Like, let's say right now, we're on track to do, I'll give an example. Let's say you are building a business, okay? And you are in a phase where you're going to do customer acquisition, all right? And you're like, and in your mind, this week's goals, you're looking to call 100 people this week and close 50, okay? You may know that, but let's say you bring me onto your team. I'm helping to coach your team, but you don't relay that goal to me. That wouldn't happen because I have a questionnaire, and you know what I'm saying? But the point is, you have a mission in your mind to get something done. How are you communicating that to the group around you and the people around you to help you get that done? Right? How are you doing that? How are you showing up for you? Right? Like, how are you showing up to lead and to communicate and be the person to help, to be the person to communicate to your team so that they can help you execute your vision and your mission? Okay. And so I hope that this was educational, first and foremost. I hope that it was entertaining. I hope that you learned something. Okay. And I hope that you guys tune in with me next Monday at 5 p.m. I will be here. And it was such a pleasure sharing these gems with you, sharing this game with you. And I can't wait to continue to do so. All right. So it is Denver, the Mindset Diplomat. I am over and out. Peace.